This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Well, hey there and happy Friday. It is Friday and I decided to toss this episode into iTunes because I missed it on Thursday. And so I thought, heck, I don't need to wait until next week. It's my show. I can put it up on a Friday if I want to. I wanted to do this because today my guest is Josey Stafford from Six Pence Events and Planning. And I'm really looking forward to you hearing this interview. I love talking to Josey. She has such a great personality and just a really cool outlook on things. She's an event planner who specializes in stress-free weddings for millennials who love Kate Spade and love just like she does. She believes in customer service and conscious competence and finds joy in planning, organizing, and executing events that everyone will enjoy. She is an event planner, but she specializes in weddings, and today we are talking all about the client experience. I really love some of Josey's her ideas and thoughts around improving client experience and her personal way that she helps her clients feel appreciated and taken care of. And I think it's always a good conversation to have when we're chatting about ways that we can make our couples feel better, I guess, or feel even better than they already do about working with us, and just little ways that we can impress them. Some of Josey's ideas that you'll hear in this episode are ways that you can kind of reflect after each wedding. Write down what you love, write down what you didn't love. And this is for us as vendors. And I think that might sound like really detailed, but what a great simple exercise to say, hey, I love these things, I'm going to do them again, or I didn't love these other things, I'm not going to do those. And in fact, I need to change that part of my process or that part of my contract. It's really important that we reflect on those things. So I want to jump into Josey's interview, but before I do that, I would love it if you would head over to bit.ly/WedPro Summit. That's bit.ly/WedPro Summit. I am gathering interest to see if there are enough people who are interested in coming to the mountains of Colorado to my waterfront wedding venue for a summit specifically for wedding pros, less than 100 women, probably more like 50, where we do plenty of encouragement and inspiration, gifts and swag and all of that, but more importantly, where we actually break out and take time to work on your business. So instead of, taking time away from your business to just kind of sit and watch speaker after speaker after speaker, we will dig in and really work on the one or two goals that you've set out for yourself prior to coming to the summit. So head over to bit.ly/WedPro Summit. It's just you just toss your email in there and say, yep, I'm interested. It's not an email list that goes on my traditional list, so you won't receive any other emails from me. It's strictly about the summit. I would love to know if you are interested because it is my total dream to have a bunch of women out at the venue. So that's all I have for you about that. Let's go to the show. Josey Stafford, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kinsey.
Thank you so much. I was just telling Josey offline, you guys, that we've been trying to make this interview happen, and it's because I have been unorganized. We've been trying to make it happen for maybe 2 months or so. So I'm seriously so excited to have you on. Finally, welcome.
On a non-snowy day, right? So we have good reception.
Oh my God, seriously, country life. I was just telling someone the other day that my post office is like 30 minutes away because I do live on a ranch in the country, for those of you who don't know. And she was just like, I wouldn't have sent you something if I thought you had to go on vacation to get it.
Trekking uphill in 5 feet of snow to get one package.
Oh gosh, yeah. I probably need to reorganize my business to only do things. I only do things May through October when I have good internet service.
Yes.
Just kidding.
When there's no snow on the ground. Yeah.
All right. Well, today, you guys, you know that in the intro there, I gave you Josey's professional bio, and you know that we're talking about all things client experience today, which I'm really excited about. But Josey, to kick us off, I would love for you, in your own words, to just tell us who you are and how you serve the wedding industry.
Yeah. So definitely event planner with a focus on weddings because I love love. I'm actually really obsessed with love. Like right before we got started with this podcast, my husband ran over to me and was like, I just needed one more hug, so that's kind of what I'm all about is authentic relationships and really highlighting that in a non-stressful way for your wedding. But as that has kind of evolved in my business, I really realized that I also have this calling or this niche that I can fill with helping other vendors do the same thing. So instead of focusing just on the money game, really putting some heart into it and serving your clients and not just being a service.
And how did you, really quick, just a few logistical pieces, how long have you been an event planner and where do you serve your clients at? Like where are you located?
So event planning since I was probably like 3 years old. Right. My mom would say like, I would always be like, Mommy, I do it, I plan it, But my business as an LLC, like paying taxes, 2 years. Mm-hmm. And mostly in Minnesota, I still am hanging on to my 425 Washington area code or zip code area code with the intention that people will realize I love traveling. It's like the 30% of my Instagram feed is about travel and exploring the country and maybe eventually the world. I don't have an up-to-date passport, so I should get on that.
That could be on the to-do list.
That's on my to-do list. Yeah, the long list. The long list that gets like shoved under the short list.
That's right. That long list that we've all had for, the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, it exists in multiple forms under my bed and in the car and yeah.
There you go. We all have one. There's no shame in that game. Let me ask you, how did you, I know you've been doing a lot of planning for, all your life, but in the last 2 years, like what did that evolution look like from really just being like, this is the service I provide to, okay, I really want to put this heart that I already have and wanting to provide so much more to my clients. What did that evolution kind of look like? Was there a specific time that you started to kind of make that transition, or have you always really, done that in your own business?
So just like any normal person, I have a lot of eggs in my basket.
Sure.
So part of that, I also work in hospice as a nursing assistant. Mm-hmm. So that's really where the compassionate, kind, caring part of me comes from, is realizing the things that matter in life from working with people who are dying, super morbid, is that relationships matter. So really like understanding that at the end of your life, you don't have like bags and boxes of stuff surrounding you. You have people and faces. And so how can I bring that then into my business? I think that initially I really wanted it to be more about the people and the service that I could provide them, mm-hmm. instead of just about making money. And really, honestly, I'm so lucky. My husband was super supportive, and I kind of went through this quarter life crisis where I had previously unsuccessfully applied to med school, and that didn't pan out. And I think that really speaks to my our generation, is that we're kind of going for this professional status, and we realize like maybe this isn't for me, or it doesn't pan out. And so then you start your own business and you really take off creatively. So I was in this space where I didn't really have to focus on the dollars. I'm providing like for my husband and I, or like paying a large portion of the bills. So that really helped shape the kind of service that I could provide to my clients. It could be more of my time and less about like the return on investment initially. I just think that coming from a place where you're not worried about the dollar sign really affects how you do your business, mm-hmm. and how, you interact with clients. Because I was hungry, but I wasn't hungry just to take their money. I was hungry to like please people and get good reviews, so then my business could take off organically in that form, maybe.
I am so glad you said this. And seriously, this comes up a lot, not this specific story, but it comes up a lot on the show, where I always say like, there's so much information and hustle out there, or there's so much information and encouragement out there to like ditch your 9-to-5 and hustle and side hustle and like, you need to quit your job or you suck. And that's just not the case. Like, I mean, take it from Josey, and that's such a good way of looking at it. If you have that 9-to-5 safety net financially, it's not that you're not motivated to make your quote side hustle also financially successful, but you can actually take the time to develop the business that you want want that you love in the beginning because you're not obsessed with making it
Right.
solvent.
And then I never, like, I'm not so concerned, like, okay, I just had a client meeting and she seemed really great. We didn't click as well as like I click with most of my clients. And I'm okay with that. Like, if she doesn't book with me, I'm okay with that. I want it to be a good fit for her. And I'm not just like interested in like filling my bank account, with her dollars.
Yes. And you guys know I get super passionate about this. Just to clarify, even if you are hustling and you are taking on clients because you do need to be financially solvent, please don't take that as you just love money. That's not what we're saying at all. We don't think that at all, because pay your bills, girl.
Right.
But what we're saying is, like, if you have a 9-to-5 or you're listening right now, or maybe you've been considering getting one just to kind of take some pressure off, don't feel any shame in that.
It's definitely that big magic. Who was that again? Elizabeth Gilbert. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where she talks about that she always worked when she was writing, because then there wasn't pressure on her creativity to provide for her life. And then her passion could just flow, and it wasn't like, I have to write this much, or I have to book this many clients, or I have to create this flower bouquet, because otherwise how am I going to pay for my phone or my nails or whatever it is. It just kind of really does take that pressure off. I always really encourage vendors to change the way that they look at things and the way that they look at acquiring clients, instead of changing that client into a dollar sign. I know I've said that phrase a lot, but instead of doing that, think about it as an opportunity to grow, or to enhance your business, or to form a relationship.
So good, Josey. Yes. And side note, you guys, listeners, I think I've said this before, but if you haven't read Big Magic yet, you absolutely should. It's
a good
wonderful.
one.
Yeah, it's great. And I listened to it on Audible, and Elizabeth Gilbert reads it herself, and she seriously has the best voice
I
ever.
listen to books on tape, or I call it tape, but it's CD now because we're in 2017. But I listen to those in the car headed to weddings, that are clients probably, it takes a little bit of time to get out to your venue. And so that's really a great opportunity, I think, as a business owner, to educate yourself with something that isn't directly speaking maybe to the actual day-to-day of your business, but more like the big picture. So yeah, that Big Magic talks about being fearless in your creativity. And I think that's important. No matter what type of entrepreneur you are still a creative. You create things.
Yes. So let's, moving forward, or kind of on that same vein of thought, where we're talking about the ability to create that client experience, let's back up a little bit, because I think, and you've said this to me offline, creating that client experience really starts with finding or developing what you believe is your ideal client, or as we've heard it before, your avatar. So Josey, if you would, give us your kind of high-level overview of what you think an ideal client is, and then tell us maybe 2 or 3 ways we can begin to develop our own avatars.
So for me, an ideal client is someone that I enjoy working with, because I'm coming from a place where I created my business to be happier, to work less, to make money, and to have the flexibility and freedom in my life. So then eventually when I do have children, I can really devote time to them and still have this income source. So that being said, I really want to enjoy the clients that I have. I want to have fun with them. I want to have a great time at their wedding. I want to stop and realize at some point during their big day, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm getting paid to be here. This is so awesome. And I want to be there. So for me, an ideal client is someone that you actually want to work with. That being said, an ideal client also should probably be profitable. So there's a couple things. I'll just tell you about one of my avatars. So let's say we're looking at, I'm just going to say it Barbie, because actually I use my previous client names as my avatars, and I don't quite feel comfortable saying their name. Okay, so let's say Barbie is a client, and she is a 25-year-old. She just graduated. She's got kind of a working professional attitude. So maybe she's a teacher, or she is a social worker, or something like that. So I'm getting really specific, right?
Right.
And her fiance and her They really like to go hiking, and on the weekends they watch documentaries at like the local small theater or something like that. So I'm getting really specific about what their likes are outside of what's applicable for my services. Then when it comes to like thinking about my services, okay, well, they have to have a certain budget. You know, event planners, we kind of attract higher budget clients, but not always. And so let's just say for this client, this is a not always scenario. So they are paying for their wedding themselves. They're both fresh out of college, so they've got some student debt. So let's say their budget for their wedding is 10 grand. They're having it at their parents' house in the backyard. Maybe I'm getting super specific for listeners, but this is how specific your avatar should be. Right. And so then kind of leaving that aside, they're doing a lot of DIY stuff. So now when I'm thinking about using my ideal client to attract other ideal clients, I am going to have blog posts. I'm going to have galleries that are dedicated to that wedding. I'm going to use keywords like backyard wedding, paying for our wedding ourselves, planning on weekends because I work 9 to 5 during the week. You know, all those little things that are going to catch the eye of other people who are in similar situations. And maybe they don't, maybe like that potential new client, they don't like hiking or they don't like documentaries. That's not what's going to stick out to them. What's going to stick out to them is the parts that they can relate to. And they're going to say, oh my gosh, I also want to get married at my mom's house, which is my childhood home in the backyard. And I also like wine barrels and wood crates as decor. And I also like the idea of using farmer market flowers, to decorate. And that's what's going to speak to them. And that's why they're going to reach out to me. And then during their initial consultation, if I can get that far, I'm going to bring up stuff like that because I'm going to have already had them fill out a questionnaire where they write or check the box of what kind of wedding they're feeling. So maybe it's rustic and DIY. Okay, cool. Now during your initial consultation, I'm going to use terms that speak to that ideal client. But that's just one avatar. I don't do all backyard weddings, right? But because I can speak to that one ideal client, they can really peruse my website, potential new clients, and then see that and feel like I'm speaking to them. Maybe that was a huge ramble. Does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. And so just to kind of like point out a few things that you said. Now, when Josey says that she is attracting her ideal client, it's not that she has a page on her site that lists all of these things. It's not like if you like crates, if you like backyard weddings, if you like wood, decor or whatever. What she's saying is that she has personally done the work to say, okay, who do I want to work with? Who's my ideal client? And how can I incorporate those specific attributes into my marketing, into my site? As she mentioned, she'll create a gallery of past weddings that really speak to that ideal client. She'll write blog posts. So maybe she would do a blog post of, 10 themes that you can use in a backyard wedding if she really wants to get those people who like to be outdoors and natural. So that was not a ramble. That was brilliant. Thank you for offering so many great tips.
Yeah. And I think, too, like if you're a new business owner and you're like, well, I don't have any pictures to put in my gallery, or I don't know what to write about for a blog, a really great place to start is just reaching out then to venues that do speak to your ideal clientele and saying, hey, I'm new. I'd really like to offer this service, for really cheap. Can I like pass out flyers or, this is a huge discount. It'd be a great service to your clients. And like start the relationship there, maybe with venues, or you could reach out to a photographer. And I have a course all about this, but really networking and forming relationships so then people trust you to like kind of open that door and let you in. And then, you really have to start at the basic building blocks. You can't start a business and say, okay, ideal clients, where are you? I have a website, it's live. It's never quite gonna pan out the way you want it to.
Yes. And I think too that it's almost not that I want anyone to have to deal with maybe some tougher clients, but maybe, especially if this ideal client avatar kind of worksheet or whatever sounds like a little bit weird to you, maybe you just need to kind of do that personally, and you have no idea, like, I don't know who my ideal client is. Maybe you need to go through a few weddings, and of course give them 100%, 110%, even if it's difficult, but you might need to do that, right? And like actually execute those weddings to really figure out
You'll definitely figure it out.
Like who you love to work with and who you don't.
Right. And I think the part that's the easiest to figure out is who you don't want to work with, right? You go to a wedding, you think everything's going to be great, and then like little things come up and you're like, actually, I didn't feel great about that experience, So write it down. After every single wedding, I write notes, like things that I feel like stood out that were like, before I get to a wedding, maybe I should ask if the floors have been swept. Like little things like that. I mean, that's totally off topic, but I think it's important to take notes so that you can reflect and you can go back and then look at your notes maybe after one season and see, oh, actually, I wrote a lot about working with this certain florist and how great it was. Okay, well, let me try to strengthen my relationship with them because I think that might be part of who my ideal client is.
That is so great. Yes. Trial and error is absolutely acceptable.
And it's totally okay to be at a wedding where you're like, I don't like this wedding or an event or whatever. That's okay. But you need to learn from that and then grow and really dial into what parts did you not like? What could you do to avoid being in that situation again?
Absolutely. I love your tip about reflecting after every event or wedding that you do, like true reflection.
Yes. Just like words on a page, get home, you can write it right away or the next morning. For me, weddings are so exhausting. I always I don't drink at weddings, but I always feel hungover the next day because I put so much of my body and my emotions and just really give it 100%. So that's definitely part of my rehab feeling better is either reflecting the night before or the next day and then not scheduling anything else and being available if like my bride or groom is like, oh, I can't remember where you put the cake server, and they can call me the next day or whatever that might be.
I love that. I think that's so good. Yes. Take a break. Self-care, everyone.
Self-care. Oh my goodness.
I wonder then, so now we kind of have the picture of our ideal client. We know who they are, and what we've kind of touched on how we can incorporate who we're looking for into our website and our blog. We kind of talk about from the point of referrals, or maybe gaining referrals, how we can kind of attract those ideal clients to us as well from that perspective?
So yeah, part of that, right, is saying like, okay, well, I really like barn weddings. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, go to a barn. I mean, in Minnesota, there's like 25 barns or something like that. Go to them, tour, bring them maybe like a little gift, like not just your business card. Here, can you pass out these flyers for me? They're not going to do that because they don't know you and they won't trust you. Instead, maybe bring them like coffee or like a little cupcakes from a cupcake shop that you like, and go and visit, really listen to what they're saying about the venue, and then afterwards follow up with a thank you card. If you really put that effort and care about the owners of that venue or the owners of that flower shop or cupcake shop or whatever it might be, 9 times out of 10, they're going to remember that. And then they will come across a bride and groom that's saying like, we really need this or that. If you offer them like a little discount too, then the venue can say, oh, I just met with a vendor and I don't really know them that well, but they're offering a really great deal. That would be maybe someone to check out. Well, guess what, friends? That's a referral. That's what a referral is, like being in the right place at the right time and giving incentives. So I think that that's a great way to find your ideal clients is connecting through venues or other vendors. But really a huge part of that is networking also. So you can form those relationships with people. As a planner, of course, I get asked all the time, like, if I can, and I like this literally happens, a chunk of business cards, a chunk of flyers get shoved into my hand. Oh, that's so great. You're a planner. Can you give these to your clients? And then they walk away. Wait, what?
I'm sorry, who are you?
And maybe that works totally fine for other planners. I don't know. I haven't met them yet. But the thing is, that's not how I treat my clients. I don't shove things into their hands. I take them by the hand and I say, what are you looking for? What would make you happy? What would make your big day look great? And then I think about the vendors that I've met and the relationships they form with me and how they care about me as a person, which would reflect on how they will treat my bride and groom as a person, and not just as a dollar sign. So kind of really thinking about, back to your question, connecting with other vendors who do serve your ideal client is a great way to start.
And cultivating those relationships first.
Yes, relationships. Oh, brother. Yes.
And it's in the follow-up too. You mentioned and you could do this with any vendor, but when you were using your example of touring a venue, you said follow up with a thank you card.
Yes, always. And I got really good advice. I can't remember from who, to not just have obviously it has to be a handwritten thank you card, my friends. I draw my own thank you cards. But when I first was starting out, I had postcards that had my face on them. So I would send those out. A postcard is a little cheaper. If your face is on something, think about how many of you still in whatever month this is, have Christmas cards on your fridge because it's a baby's face and you can't throw away a baby, right? So if you put your face on the thank you card, I think people are less inclined to just look at it and be like, oh, how nice, and toss it in the recycling. Mm-hmm. I think they might keep it around a little bit longer, put it on their desktop or on their fridge or, whatever convening space there is at their place of work. And then you're going to be much more memorable and recognizable the next time they see you because they've seen your face for the last 2 months or however long it is until you would see them again.
I love that. I know that we're all probably sitting here thinking, I'm afraid to put my face on stuff, but you're right. It really can't help because
put your face on it.
They'll feel a personal connection to you.
And if you feel bad, maybe add a puppy in there or something. I don't know, So then it's you can put the puppy in front of your face or I don't know. I totally hear that. But I think in this day and age, if you're a business owner, you really need to be a little more open, especially if your clientele are millennials, to faces, having your person present in your business on social media, on Facebook, it's called Facebook, and on Instagram, whatever else you might use. You really have to be present as a business owner.
So phenomenal advice. Yeah. Thank you for saying that, Josey. Millennials, they want to connect with real people, and their distrust barometer is they have such a low threshold for trust, right, that they need to know there's a person somewhere.
And I think that's great. Some businesses, especially maybe in Colorado, have a huge dog love of dogs. Yes. So they'll put dogs in their feed. Yep. Montana, I know they let dogs into coffee shops and stuff. I think that's fine. But I have heard, if you are a person that does that, maybe it's something to think about. I have heard from brides and grooms oh, I really like this vendor, but their Instagram feed is full of pictures of their dog. So I don't know what that's about. So,
I don't know who that is.
Something to think about that maybe clients want to see you, and maybe the dog pictures in bulk can be saved for your personal social media pages.
Well said.
Just saying. It just came up recently. I'm sorry if you really
it's a fresh experience.
I know, sorry.
I think to add those little personality quirks, if we don't want to fill up our stagnant feeds with that, to add those personality quirks, utilize Instagram stories because it's quick, it's easy, and it goes away.
Right. I 100% agree. I love that. And I wish I was better at Instagram stories also, just admitting that, saying it out loud.
Me too. Yeah. I was just reading an awesome article that somebody shared in a Facebook group by Neil Patel, and it's all about how to gain Instagram followers. And he actually has a distinct strategy for Instagram stories. I'll put that article in the show notes, you guys, in case you're with me and Josey and you're I need to upgrade my Instagram story game. But I thought it was really fascinating. And I was oh, okay. So maybe just have a strategy.
Right. And then implement it. Weird.
Yeah, exactly. Implementation. Well,
Funny.
let's kind of transition then to what are, I think there's some tactical things that we can do to make a client experience great. And one of the things that you and had talked to me, you had told me about offline was just very simply, I mean, something as simple as responding very quickly to your current clients or client inquiries is
Yes.
an easy thing you can do to really elevate your experience. So can you kind of talk through that and maybe give us two other tips?
Yes. And just really quickly for me means like 4 hours or less, but I'm totally fine if quickly for other people means 24 hours or less. I think that's super important to recognize that your clients have time that they're spending on you and to be respectful of that. So definitely responding to emails or phone calls or texts or checking your Facebook messages. I know we're all in this trap where like you have to like approve someone that you don't know to message you. I don't know. Anyways, but responding to Facebook messages or Instagram messages, like clients will reach out to you in a myriad of ways. So really being aware of that. Other things, is this correct, that you want me to talk about for
Yes,
client
I love it.
expenses? So, maybe you take your clients for a consultation. Most people like the in-person consultation. It increases their booking success rate. I would say budget in your prices so that you can take clients out for drinks or coffee or muffins or cupcakes or something that you can purchase for them. I think that really stands out and means a lot to them. And guess what, guys? It is tax deductible. Buying clients meals is tax deductible. So yes, you have to spend the money to get the tax credit, but that's a nice credit and a nice way to maybe owe less to the government. And then, so that's a nice way. I also I'm an event planner, so I'll bring like bridal magazines. There's a company in Minnesota that will lend me or give me cute Forever Bride tank tops. So I bring those and I just say, hey, I have these if you want it. It's a little gift. Sorry, grooms, I haven't thought of a good thing to give you yet. So if anyone has any ideas, please tell me. And then just really following up right after that consultation, I think that really makes them feel validated. Some other things, on your website, you have a questionnaire, right? A contact us form that has a few maybe questions that can be catered to your ideal client. So you can ask them like, what type of event is this? Maybe if you're a florist, maybe you want to ask like, what's your budget? Because that can really set expectations, right? If you have a minimum of $1,000 for weddings and your client questionnaire that you just received from a potential new client says they are budgeting $200, maybe that's an opportunity for educating, or maybe that client's not your ideal client. And then once they've filled out that contact form, you can maybe have like an autoresponder that says, thank you so much for inquiring. Like, I'm really excited to talk with you. I'll get back to you as soon as possible, or within a week, or within 7 days, or whatever. That's the same thing, a week and 7 days, or 24 hours, or whatever it might be, just so they have an expectation for what your communication style and timeline looks like. That's also great. And then kind of jumping ahead, if it is a wedding that you are a vendor at, then maybe writing a personalized like thank you card or congratulations card that then you pop in their gift box or card box, I mean. So they're going to be opening their gifts the next day or the day after that, and then they'll see amongst cards from family and friends, like this little vendor card that says, thank you so much for letting me be at your wedding. Weren't the peonies really gorgeous? Or I can't believe we got that waterfall picture and we didn't get wet, or whatever it is, whatever type of vendor you are. I think that's really meaningful. And then after a week after their wedding or whatever, how much time you want to let go by, asking for reviews, because now you've really established that you've given, and now you're going to ask. You're going to ask them if they know anyone, any friends that are also getting married that have a similar style to them, which if they're friends with them, they have some similarities. That's what friends are, people with similar interests. And then if they could just refer you to them and maybe offer like $10 off or 10% off or whatever it might be as an incentive.
That was a lot. No, but Josey, it was so good. And you guys, I'm going to re-listen to this. I'll pull out I'm taking notes as fast as I can, but I'm going to pull out all of Josey's suggestions and put it into like a downloadable PDF so that literally, I think if you went through her tips and like checked them off, you would be shocked at the way your client transformation.
You'd have a really good client story. And I also do have on, not to direct traffic away from your site, but I do have on my website like a wedding vendor section that's got access to my course. And then also I usually do podcasts for wedding vendor posts. So if you are like me and you want to multitask while you're doing your hair in the morning, you can just kind of listen to that in sectionable way. So in just following up with a client or just following up after a styled shoot or whatever it might be, or about your ideal client.
And I will, Josey, I think I have the link for those. So do you mind if I put that link in the show notes?
I don't mind at all, Kinsey.
Yay! I'm going to do that, you guys. They were good. I listened to them myself.
I mean, it is a lot, but if you just, like you were saying, if you have a plan and then you implement it, it makes it so much easier. And the excuse like, well, I just don't know where to get started. You do know where to get started. Start with one thing, and say like you're wanting to enhance your client experience. Okay, start with one thing. Start with, making more questions on the contact us form of your website. That's one thing that can enhance the way that a client feels when they're contacting you and the information that you get from them. Because it's not just about them feeling taken care of. It's about you managing your time so you're not always having to reach out and ask more questions or clarifications or anything like that. Really streamline it. And of course, I'm going to mention that HoneyBook is a really great way to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Which I am so glad you said HoneyBook because that leads me into my next question. So kind of Josey, this has been so brilliant. So I have to ask, like, as we wrap up here, I would love to know what, aside from HoneyBook, it sounds like, what are the tools you're using to, manage your business and your client experience and your other projects?
So in case anyone hasn't heard about HoneyBook, it's just a client management system online. And that is what is linked up with my question or my contact us form. So it's got a specific questions and then it pops into HoneyBook. It takes all of the client information off of that. And then I auto send them an email that says like, what if Facebook had no faces? And it's about, I can't know how to help you without more information about your wedding, just like Facebook would be pointless without any faces or something much more eloquently stated than that. And then it sends them a questionnaire that then I can get their fiance's information. So when they kind of inquire on my website, they don't feel like I'm asking for their social security number and a credit card and too much information. So HoneyBook I use. I also use Google Docs. Like I could be the spokesperson for Google Docs. I would wear a Google Doc shirt. I would paint my hair Google Doc colors. I don't know.
I wear the Google glasses.
I would. I use Google Sheets a ton, and that's a really great way of connecting with my clients and making sure that they can see the information that I am populating for them. So like a timeline, a vendor list. I think Trello, you could do something similar, but I'm just still really new to that. I use Squarespace for my website. I do all of my editing, and I think Squarespace is great. I'm just right now trying to connect my podcast to iTunes, so that is exciting. But it's really easy to do through Squarespace. I also use things like Later for Instagram scheduling, which of course, you guys, Instagram has to be instant. So I just schedule it, but I still have to post it live or whatever in person to Instagram. I also use Tailwind app for Pinterest scheduling. So right now I've got pins, like 5 or 6 pins a day scheduled all through March, which is incredible. I've definitely seen an increase in my followers on Pinterest, which I think kind of lacks as far as my other social media platforms. What else do I use? I use Unsplash for stock images if I can't. And this is a big one for all of you guys just starting out who are saying, like, I'm not a photographer and I don't have my own images. Unsplash is a nice place to get free images. You can do whatever you want with them. I'm sure you can't resell them. So if that was your idea, scratch that. I don't know what I use. Dropbox when other photographers will share images with me, but usually they've got their own like Smug Mug or whatever it is online. But Dropbox is kind of nice. I just don't use it as much. What else do you use?
Well, yes to Google Docs and Trello and Squarespace and Dropbox and Tailwind.
Yay!
Yeah, I use actually Kate Mac's stock for my stock photos for She Creates Business only. So I don't use those stock. I typically don't use those stock photos for my venue because they're, flat lays, you guys know. So, but I have used stock photos in the past for my venue site before we did some very basic styled shoots so that we could at least have some photos. So that's another tip. If you don't have your own photos and you want to curate some of your own taste, do some very basic styled shoots. They don't have to, they don't get crazy. Like you don't have to be super planned out. I literally did them with 2 models and our property. So, excellent tips, Josey. Those are so awesome. And then Dubsado for, we're getting ready to sign up for Dubsado for our CRM.
Nice. Yeah. And then, I also use ConvertKit for email marketing. Yes. And my course is going to be on Teachable. So like all of those are probably secretly owned by the same person, ConvertKit, Honeybook, and Teachable. It's just probably like some secret person that has like multiple names or whatever. But yes, I think all 3 of those are really excellent tools for small business.
I'll tell you that it's not a secret conglomerate. They are owned by different people.
I know. That's the conspiracy theorist in me.
That's what they want us to think, right? They're like, I think these are owned by different people.
They've got you duped. Yeah. Oh man.
But it's actually Apple. No, I'm kidding. Well,
Great.
Josey, this has been so fun and so enlightening. I really appreciate you sharing everything that you have to offer with client experience. Like, you really just laid it on the table, and I appreciate you being such a giver.
Absolutely.
Good. I would love for you to tell everyone where they can find you online and what you're excited about in 2017 and any offerings that you have that you're really looking forward to.
Yeah, so online, sixpenceeventsmn.com. And if you are a wedding vendor looking for information specific for you, it's /wedding vendors. Also on Instagram and Facebook, Sixpence Events MN. 2017, I've got my lofty goal of 20 weddings this year. I only do 1 wedding a weekend because I'm a single person. And so 20 weddings and then 5 vacations. So we're pretty close to the halfway mark of hitting that goal, which I feel really great about because it's only February.
Yes.
I've also got my course launching in very shortly, actually. I haven't decided if it's going to be evergreen or just going to be a one and done launch. But it's how to be referred by a wedding planner. So if you are a wedding vendor and you're thinking like, yes, how do I get on that list? You can definitely check that out. It's super actionable items, 5-day online course, go at your own pace. And by the suggestion of Amy Porterfield, I think there's going to be a Facebook private group associated with that as well. So that's kind of where... that sounds like so simple, right? Like, why can't I just do all of those things? But I'm finding that there's a lot of back end work, and passive income is not really passive, is it?
No, thank you for saying that, because the answer is no. There's no such thing as truly passive income, because you have to put in some work, if not a lot of work at the beginning. So I think everyone is nodding their head on this podcast right now saying like, no, girl, we get you. You have a lot to do.
Got to get to work right now.
Yeah. Josey, thank you so much. It's been truly my pleasure to have you here. And I know that this is going to be a phenomenal interview. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.